Text, in a computer sense, can mean simple plain text like a TXT file, or complicated HTML or JSON data, like what web browsers and mobile apps deal with. We'll learn the elements of processing plain text with MATLAB, which will stand you in good stead for processing input, DNA strings, numeric data files, and the like in the future. We need to know how to do a few basic things in MATLAB, like create text. Besides creating basic strings with single quotes and double quotes, we can create more complicated strings using sprintf. Earlier we had the Clerihew about Descartes. Now we have one about Spinoza. Spinoza collected curiosa, body belle lettre, etc. We're going to construct this in this sprintf, the string print formatted. The way that this works is that you have a string which has format markers inside of it. Those are these little %s. They're placeholders. And for each placeholder, you have to have a matching piece afterwards. Line 1, line 2, line 3, and line 4. sprintf takes the first string, scans for this something that matches this %s, and it finds this first piece, and it replaces it in instead. So Clerihew, unprocessed before we ran fprintf, looks like this. If you take a look at the lesson, there's a table which shows you that a %d is a placeholder for an integer, a %f is a holder for a double or a floating point value, and a %s is a placeholder for a string or a character array. Using these, you should be able to build any kind of string that you need to in CS 101. MATLAB offers two basic output methods. The first, disp, is appropriate for any value, and it's very frequently useful when you're writing a script and you're trying to debug and figure out what's going on. Let's define a matrix A. If we want to see what A looks like, we simply say disp A, and it displays that value for us. The other of these, fprintf, is like sprintf in that it uses the %style format markers, but instead of returning a string, it displays the result to the screen. So here we've defined a value A as a float, a value B, which we're treating as an integer, although recall that MATLAB treats all numbers as a float unless otherwise specified. And then we're going to fprintf this value. So it formats 1500 as 1500.0000, whereas the second number is an int and it gets formatted as an integer value. We also frequently need to concatenate text, or put two strings together into a larger string containing both. Stringcat, strcat, short for string concatenation, accomplishes this. In this case, we've taken two strings, part 1 and part 2. We've carried out stringcat, and we can see that this turns into a single string. You'll notice that it does not include features like line breaks automatically, or spaces. So you have to include any one of those pieces explicitly if you want them there. We're going to use stringcat to build several longer strings moving forward. We also frequently need to find text within other text. We're going to use stringfind, strfind, to locate the first occurrence of a text within another text. Here we've defined a verse using stringcat, and we're looking for the word thing inside of verse. Search result, you can see over here at right, has the value 79, so it occurs at the 79th character inside of this other string. And there we can see the first character of that substring that it was searching for. Keep in mind that this will return the first index of the first occurrence of the sought-after string. So if you need to find it multiple times, you're going to need to write a loop to search for each one of these things, starting at the index plus 1 of the last thing that you found. We also often replace one bit of text with another. String replace, strrep, will find and replace all occurrences of a string within another larger string. So here we've printed a verse, and we've replaced all of the hyphens with spaces to make this more legible, and then we've fprintf'd the verse result. A friend who's in liquor production has a still of astounding construction. The alcohol boils through magnetron coils. He says that it's proof by induction. Finally, we often need to split and join text. There are a few ways to do this in MATLAB. I'm going to recommend that you use string split and string join as the pair that works very well. When we have loaded a large sample of text as a single string, we're going to use these to break it into pieces. These will result in a cell, which is like a Python list. So here we've put together the verse, the Anti-Limerick by G.K. Chesterton. We've split it along spaces. Let's see what words looks like. You'll notice that everything is separated by these curly braces. That's characteristic of a cell. And you'll also notice that it didn't break on things other than spaces. So for instance, a line break, a \n, didn't break lines there. If we want to grab a particular piece of it, we can't use parentheses to index into it. We have to use curly braces. The reverse operation, of course, is to take a bunch of bits of text and put them back together into a single string. We'll use string join to accomplish this when we need to do it. So here we've used a cell of words, put it back together with string joins, spaces between everything, and then printed the result. There's another way to break a string up into pieces, which requires grabbing one piece at a time, as in a loop, using string token, strtok. This one's a little more complicated. It requires a loop typically, and checking whether or not there's anything remaining in the string that you're processing.